My fiancé said, "I need space, don't contact me for a while." Then posted ski trip photos with her ex. I respected her wishes, changed the locks, and started selling her Lexus that was in my name. When she came back, her key didn't work, and her driveway spot was empty. I was in bed when I got the message. The screen lit up at 12:41 a.m., and I reached for it, half asleep, thinking maybe Vanessa forgot I had a big project due in the morning. But it wasn't a reminder or a good luck text. It was a bomb. "Mark, I need to take a pause. I love you, but I need emotional clarity. Please don't reach out. I just need some silence to think about everything." That was it. No explanation. No hint that anything was wrong. Just a request for total radio silence, like I was a background character in my own life. My name is Mark Hastings. I'm 32. I live in Silver Lake, California, and up until that message, I thought I was engaged to the woman I'd grow old with. Vanessa and I had been together for 4 years. We got engaged 9 months ago. The last few weeks had been a little distant. Sure, she'd been staying later at work. I'd been wrapped up in a new development project, but nothing felt broken. Not enough for this. I stared at her message until my eyes blurred. I typed out a dozen different replies. "Are you okay? We can talk about this. Did I do something?" But in the end, I didn't send anything. She wanted silence, so I gave it to her. The next few days were a blur. I buried myself in drafting reports, pouring concrete, troubleshooting site plans, anything to keep my mind off the hollow feeling in my chest. I didn't tell anyone, not even my brother. I just told myself it was temporary. A break, that's all. But every night, I checked her social media, just to see if she was okay. Nothing. Until the fourth day. That's when I saw it. She was tagged in a photo, a group shot, everyone bundled in winter gear, holding ski poles, grinning in front of the Alps. The caption, "Best week with the best people." And there she was, standing right next to Aaron. I felt my throat tighten. Aaron was her ex, the one who didn't believe in monogamy, the one who broke her heart so badly she swore off dating for a year. He was wearing mirrored ski goggles and had his arm draped around her shoulder like it had never left. My heart started racing. I clicked through the photos. There were more: dinner by candlelight, snowball fights, a cozy cabin interior with his jacket on the back of the same chair she was sitting in. That's when the dam broke. All this talk of emotional clarity, of space, of figuring things out, it was a lie. She hadn't needed time alone. She needed time away from me so she can go see what it felt like to play house with someone else again. And not just anyone, him. I shut off my phone, sat on the edge of my bed, and stared at the carpet for a long time. This wasn't a pause. It was a test drive. And suddenly, I knew exactly what I had to do next. The next morning, I woke up before sunrise. Didn't bother making coffee. Didn't check my phone. I just sat at the kitchen table in the townhouse Vanessa and I picked out together last year. The one I paid for, furnished, maintained. She'd left most of her things here. Clothes, makeup, shoes in the entry closet. She had made no move to officially leave, only emotionally vanish. I looked around at all her stuff still clinging to my life like residue, and something inside me clicked. I opened my laptop and Googled local locksmiths. Called the first one with 5 stars. "How soon can you get here?" The guy showed up an hour later in a white van with a sticker on the back that said, "Secure your space." He was quick, efficient, polite, didn't ask any questions when I told him I wanted the locks completely changed. Deadbolts, door handles, everything. I paid him $300 cash. It felt like the cheapest therapy I'd ever bought. After he left, I stood on the porch and turned the new key in my hand. It felt solid, like control, like closure. But I wasn't done yet. 6 months earlier, Vanessa's sedan had died in the middle of Laurel Canyon. Transmission failure. She called me in tears, stranded and late for a client meeting. I drove out there, picked her up, and 3 days later, we bought a used 2018 Lexus RX in deep navy blue. It was in my name, loan, title, everything, because her credit was still recovering from some old debts. She swore she'd help with the monthly payments. She never did, but she did drive it every day. Treated it like it was hers. Left her scarves in the back seat, makeup in the center console, gym bags in the trunk. That car had become hers in every way but legally. So after I changed the locks, I grabbed the spare key from the hook by the door and drove it to the nearest luxury dealership that offered consignment sales. The guy behind the counter raised an eyebrow when I explained. "She's not my fiancée anymore," I said. "She just doesn't know it yet." He nodded like he'd heard it all before. Took the key, inspected the car, asked a few questions. Within 20 minutes, I had it on the lot for evaluation. The manager said they could handle the sale and title transfer from here, and they'd call when it was listed. I walked outside and hailed a cab. The whole ride home, I stared out the window, letting the cold morning light hit my face. When we pulled up to the driveway and I stepped out, no Lexus, no cluttered keys, no signs of the version of my life that had included her, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Calm, real, full breath, uncluttered calm. It wasn't revenge. It was just reclaiming what was mine. It was 2 days later when she finally came back. I was in the living room, sipping coffee and watching nothing on TV, when I heard the rattle of a key in the front door. The knob jiggled once, twice, then harder, followed by a sharp bang. Then her voice. "Mark? What the hell?" I didn't move right away. Just waited. Another bang. "Mark, open the door." I stood up, walked over, and opened it with the chain still on. Vanessa stood there in a black coat and a messy bun, a large suitcase by her side. She looked like she hadn't slept much. Eyes slightly puffy, lips chapped, still wearing the same boots I saw in those ski trip photos. She blinked at me, confused, then tried to smile. "Hey, what's going on? Why won't the key work?" I kept the chain on and leaned against the doorframe. "You asked for space," I said. "I'm honoring that." She scoffed. "Mark, come on. That was just, you knew it wasn't forever." I didn't say anything. Her smile faded. "You changed the locks?" I nodded once. She stared at me for a second, mouth slightly open like she didn't know what to do with that. Then her eyes dropped to the driveway. Her suitcase still at her side, she squinted like she expected to see something. "Where's the Lexus?" I didn't move. "Mark, where's the car?" "It's gone." "Gone." Her voice jumped an octave. "What do you mean gone?" "I mean it's not here anymore." I took it back. It was in my name, title, loan, insurance, everything. She stared at me, processing. Then her eyebrows shot up and her voice sharpened. "You sold it? Are you insane? That car was mine." "No, Vanessa. It wasn't. You just used it like it was." "Big difference." Her face twisted. "You can't do that." "I can," I said calmly. And I did. She stared at me, dumbfounded. I could see the calculations happening behind her eyes, the scrambling for leverage. There wasn't any. "I can't believe you'd be this petty," she muttered. I didn't flinch. "You were the one who left, Vanessa. You were the one who asked for a pause and silence. I respected that. But you didn't go off to find clarity. You went skiing with Aaron. You didn't want space. You wanted distance from me while you dipped back into your past." Her jaw tensed. She didn't deny it. I leaned in slightly, still behind the chain. "I don't owe you a car. I don't owe you a house key. And after what I saw, I sure as hell don't owe you a welcome back." She stood there, seething. "I have stuff inside," she snapped. "I know. It's boxed up. Entryway closet. You can grab it. That's it." "You're making a huge mistake," she hissed. I shrugged. She stood there for another second, then stepped back, muttering something under her breath as she dragged her suitcase to the side. I shut the door before I could hear it clearly. The chain clicked back into place. I took a deep breath and walked away. That door was more than just a barrier now. It was a line, and I wasn't stepping over it again. It was about an hour later when the next knock came, louder, faster, like someone was trying to beat the door down with attitude. I opened it slowly. No chain this time. Vanessa wasn't alone. Her sister, Erica, was standing next to her, arms crossed, jaw tight, with that familiar "I'm here to deliver a moral lecture" look she always wore when she didn't get her way. She was the kind of person who spoke in declarations, like her words were laws and her tone a gavel. "Wow," she said, pushing past me without waiting for an invitation. "So this is how you treat the woman you were going to marry?" Vanessa stayed behind her, quiet now, letting Erica do the dirty work. I closed the door behind them and stood in the entryway, arms crossed. I didn't say anything. Let her talk. "You really changed the locks while she was out of the country? Took back the car like she was some thief?" Erica turned, pointing at the stack of labeled boxes near the closet. "You seriously boxed up her life like she's being evicted from a motel?" I stayed calm. "She left," I said. "She asked for space and silence. I respected that. She went on a trip," Erica snapped, "to get some perspective, with her ex. She needed clarity." I nodded slowly. She got it, and so did I. Erica shook her head like I was being unreasonable, like this was some overblown reaction to a tiny mistake. "She's given you everything," she said, stepping closer. "She uprooted her life for you, moved into your house, supported your long hours, put up with your moods and your workaholic routine. And in return," I replied, "I gave her a home, a car, a future. I proposed to her, Erica. I trusted her. And while I thought we were taking a step back to fix things, she was taking ski selfies with the same guy who once told her commitment was a cage." Erica opened her mouth, then closed it. Vanessa looked down at the floor, lips pressed together. I walked over to the closet and tapped the top box. "Her stuff's all here. Nothing's broken. Nothing's stolen. She can take it and go. But she's not coming back in." Erica narrowed her eyes. "You'll be hearing from her lawyer." I almost laughed. "Please do. The lease is in my name. So is the car. I have receipts, titles, and a clean conscience. Erica's mouth curled into a sneer. You think you're righteous? You think being cold and calculated makes you the victim? No, I said. I think doing nothing would have made me a doormat, and I'm not interested in playing that part anymore. They stood there for a second, quiet. Then Vanessa grabbed the top 2 boxes and carried them outside without a word. Erica glared at me a second longer, then followed, slamming the door shut behind her. I stood in the quiet house for a while, listening to the hum of the fridge, the muffled sound of a box being loaded into a car. No more yelling, no more guilt trips. Just the echo of a line that had finally, definitively, been drawn. The next morning, just after 9, there was a knock. Not loud, not aggressive, just the kind that lets you know someone's come with a plan and a speech. I opened the door to find Erica again, this time flanked by their mother, Colleen. She wore oversized sunglasses and a long beige cardigan like she just walked out of a suburban drama about emotional manipulation. She clutched her purse like it contained the Constitution. Behind them, Vanessa stood by the car, arms folded, refusing to look up. Mark, Colleen said with a heavy sigh, I'd like to speak with you. Civilly, I stepped aside without a word, but I didn't move from the doorway. The boxes were still stacked by the closet, labeled, sealed, untouched. She walked in like it was still her daughter's house. This is all of it? She asked, glancing at the boxes. That's everything that was hers, I said, labeled and ready to go. Colleen looked around the space like she was taking inventory of lost dreams. Her voice dropped to a softer, more theatrical tone. I have to say, I'm disappointed. I always thought of you as family. I didn't respond. I just leaned against the frame. She walked up to the boxes, placed her hand on one. After all she gave up for you, all the time she invested, this feels a little cold. Erica chimed in from behind her. Not even a call, just a locked door and a missing car. I stayed still, calm. She asked for no contact, I said. I gave her that. I didn't expect to find her in Switzerland with Aaron. Colleen winced like I'd brought up a word we weren't supposed to say. That wasn't about betrayal, Mark. That was about confusion. A last-minute trip to sort out feelings. I raised an eyebrow. Is that what we're calling it now? She took a deep breath and placed a hand over her heart like she was preparing for a eulogy. I just think, if you love someone, you work through things, not slam the door on them. I almost laughed, but I didn't. I did work through it, quietly. While she was away, I did what I needed to. I gave her space. Now I'm keeping mine. Colleen's face shifted, the sympathy fell away, and something colder moved in. You're being spiteful. She's devastated. She cried all night. She should have thought about that on the ski lift. Colleen stepped closer, voice low. And the car? Do you think that was fair? That was her lifeline. That car was never hers, I said. It was mine, registered, insured, and paid by me. Erica muttered something under her breath. Colleen ignored her. You'll be hearing from us, maybe even from our attorney. I hope you're prepared to explain yourself in court. I smiled. I'm more than prepared. She glared at me a beat longer, then turned toward the boxes. Let's just take them, she snapped. Erica and Colleen grabbed what they could carry. Vanessa never came to the door. She just popped the trunk and waited. When they were gone, I stood at the door for a second, then closed it with a quiet click. No shouting, no chaos, just one last attempt to guilt me. That didn't land. It started that same night. At first, it was subtle. A couple of weird texts from mutual friends, nothing direct, just strange tones I couldn't quite place. One of them, Jenna, who used to double date with Vanessa and me, messaged me out of the blue. Hey, just heard what happened. If you ever want to talk, I'm here. No judgment. That was followed by another from Tyler. Man, if everything she's saying is true, I gotta be honest, I'm kinda shocked. I stared at my phone, confused. Then I opened Instagram. Vanessa had posted a photo. One of her looking out over some scenic overlook, a quote beneath it. Sometimes people reveal who they really are when they lose control of you. And then I saw the comments. Heart emojis. Sympathy. Little nods from people we both knew. One from her friend Mel. You didn't deserve that. Some men just want to own, not love. It didn't take long to figure out what she was doing. She was spinning the story, making herself the victim, framing me as controlling, possessive, maybe even cruel. I sat back on the couch, phone in hand, heart pounding. Not because I was worried about my reputation, but because I'd seen this move before. Vanessa had always been good at narrative, at pulling people into her orbit with the right mixture of tears and charm. I used to admire that. I used to think it was poise. Now I saw it for what it was. Deflection. 2 days later, I got a warning letter from my HOA. Noise complaint. Someone reported aggressive shouting and property damage coming from my unit over the weekend. There hadn't been a single raised voice in my house. Not since she tried to get back in. I called the number listed on the notice and asked to speak with the property manager. He answered with a tired voice and a bad attitude. "Look, Mr. Hastings, we just go by the reports. It's our policy to log complaints. There was no noise, no damage. You're welcome to inspect the property if you like." There was a pause. Then the manager sighed. "Yeah, honestly, it sounded fishy. Just doing my job." The complaint was closed by the next morning. I didn't respond to the text from friends. Didn't post a rebuttal. Didn't defend myself on social media. Let her talk. Let them guess. I knew the truth. And the people who mattered, the ones who actually knew me, they'd figure it out. Vanessa could play the martyr online all she wanted. But I had something she didn't. Peace. A cream envelope showed up in my mailbox the following week. Thick paper, self-important font, addressed to Mr. Mark Hastings, with the kind of formality that usually means one thing. Someone thinks they're about to scare you into folding. Inside was a letter from a local law office I'd never heard of. Cheap branding, typed signature, and a tone that screamed bluff. Our client, Ms. Vanessa Moreno, is seeking compensation in the amount of $12,000 for emotional distress and the loss of personal property, including the vehicle referenced in prior correspondence. I almost laughed. Emotional distress? The LEXUS? There was no prior correspondence. No email. No conversation. Just this thinly veiled thread. Hoping I'd panic and pay to avoid trouble, I took a photo of the letter, sent it to my attorney, Jen, who'd helped me set up my business and knew my personal files inside out, and included a short note. "Let's squash this, please and thank you." She replied 20 minutes later. "Already working on it. This one's gonna be fun." 2 days later, Jen sent her response. Printed, signed, and as precise as a scalpel. She attached a copy of the car's title, registered in my name. The financing agreement showing all payments made from my account. Photos of the car parked at my residence, time-stamped. Screenshots of the break, text from Vanessa requesting no contact. A detailed timeline showing she had voluntarily left the property and never filed a claim of ownership. Her closing paragraph was the best part. "Any further attempts to seek financial compensation without basis will be treated as harassment and responded to accordingly. My client reserves all rights, including a potential countersuit for defamation." It was brutal, clean, professional, and it worked. 3 days after that, I got a text from Vanessa. The first direct message since she'd left. "Forget the lawyer thing. I just wanted closure. We don't have to make this ugly." I didn't reply. Her story started to wobble after that. Mutual friends went quiet. Some reached out, gently probing. Jenna texted me again. "Hey, just want to say I'm sorry I assumed. Didn't realize how much she left out." Tyler followed. "Should have asked you first. That was my bad. I didn't throw her under the bus. Didn't show them documents or explain the whole timeline. I just said one thing to all of them. I'm good now. That's all that matters." And I meant it. That weekend, I bought a new coffee table, something clean, walnut finish, with no trace of her decorative input. Then I moved the couch 6 inches to the left, hung up new art, tossed the faux fur throw she loved so much. Not out of spite, just to make the place feel like mine again. And with every little change, every box gone, every corner reclaimed, I felt something lift. The weight wasn't hers. It was mine, the version of me that kept tolerating less than I deserved. And he was gone now. The calls and messages slowed down after the lawyer letter. The noise faded, and with it, so did Vanessa's version of the story. I didn't go looking for updates, but updates had a way of finding me. It started with Dave, a guy I'd known since college who ended up marrying one of Vanessa's co-workers. He texted me out of nowhere. "You were right to walk. Whole thing's unraveling now." I raised an eyebrow. "What thing?" Aaron ghosted her. Trip ended weird. Apparently, he flew back early, left her stuck with the bill. A few days later, I ran into Marisol, one of our old neighbors, at the grocery store. She gave me that cautious look people use when they're not sure if you're still radioactive. "Just so you know," she said, lowering her voice. "Vanessa's back at her mom's in Glendale." Erica stopped helping. Guess she had enough. I didn't say anything, just gave a polite nod and moved on. But the picture was starting to form. Vanessa had burned through every version of her support system. Aaron had used the trip as a nostalgia fling, then bailed the second it stopped being fun. Erica had tried to turn it into a courtroom drama, failed, and walked away. And now Vanessa was back at square one. Only this time, she couldn't come back here. I heard from 2 more people over the next week. One of her old Pilates friends, who said Vanessa was complaining that I had ruined her life. Another mutual acquaintance who said she'd been telling people I'd manipulated her out of the house and stole her car. I didn't correct them. I didn't defend myself. I didn't need to. Truth had a way of settling quietly. One night, I was walking back from the corner market, and I paused outside the townhouse. It was finally starting to feel like home again, not just a place someone else had filled with lavender candles and throw pillows I never picked. The porch light flickered a little, something I kept forgetting to fix. I looked at it, then smiled. I was okay with the flicker. It was honest, unlike so many things that had come before. Inside, I put the groceries away and sat on the couch. The new layout felt better somehow. Lighter, more me. I didn't feel bitter, didn't feel angry. I just felt clear. Vanessa had made her choices. She thought the grass was greener with her ex, with nostalgia, with drama dressed as freedom. But all she found was an empty chairlift ride, a crashed fantasy, and a trail of burned bridges. And me? I was still standing, still building, still whole. The silence wasn't lonely anymore. It was peace. It was a Saturday afternoon when I finally stood in the middle of my living room and realized it was mine again. No trace of her remained. The walls were freshly painted, a warm, matte gray that made the space feel open. I'd taken down all the abstract art she hung just to impress her friends. In its place, I framed a few vintage engineering prints, stuff that actually meant something to me. The couch was turned toward the window now. The throw pillows were gone. The rug had been rolled up and donated. Even the scent of her, that perfumed eucalyptus diffuser, had been replaced by nothing but fresh air from an open window. For the first time in nearly a year, I wasn't walking around someone else's idea of home. It was mine, and it was quiet. Beautifully, completely quiet. Later that evening, I had a few friends over, just two guys I've known since college, and my neighbor Kendra from 2 doors down. We had beers on the patio, grilled a little food, and laughed about things that had nothing to do with heartbreak or drama. There was no tension, no eggshells, just people who actually showed up because they wanted to, not because they wanted something. Kendra looked around at one point and said, "You know, your place feels different. Not just the layout. It feels calmer." I smiled and took a sip of beer. Yeah, it finally caught up to me. After everyone left, I did the dishes, wiped the counters, and sat on the couch with the lights dimmed. No phone in hand, no distractions, just the sound of wind outside and the quiet hum of a life that was mine again. Vanessa had said she needed space. What I'd given her, in the end, was the whole world. Every inch of it without me in it. That wasn't revenge. That was grace. I didn't key her car. I didn't post screenshots. I didn't show up screaming or beg for her to stay. I just stopped playing a game I never agreed to. I drew a line, and when she crossed it, I didn't fight her. I let her go. Now, the door was locked. The car was gone. The house was quiet, but I wasn't empty. I was free.